Welcome back to the show, everyone. Wait, Dana, is that you?
Uh, but I know you.
I
You're Gwen.
I recognize your voice,
Yeah,
but
how come if I have prosopagnosia, I know who you are when I
yeah,
see you?
but
We can explain.
please
I
do.
do have prosopagnosia. I mean, some people have it, so something called face blindness, but prosopagnosia specifically. And I've actually found some more recent articles about it to explain it a little more because it doesn't,
Ooh.
there hasn't been a ton of research done on neurodivergents who have this.
Yeah.
But it can range everywhere to like someone new that you met, you don't recognize them right away, and then you can have it so bad like people can't recognize family members on sight.
Mm,
So there's a spectrum of how it can manifest, and I realized that I had this about 2 years ago. And it was always difficult for me when I would start teaching a new class, especially if it was people I hadn't had other classes before. And I always thought I just was having a hard time learning names, right? Goes beyond the names thing. So for me, in a new class, especially if I have a bunch of people that look similar, and I was like, well, what is similar about them? Because they obviously are two different people. And it really is true. When I get to know them better and I learn the essence of them, I'm like, how could I not know who they were, right? And newer research is showing that we scan faces differently. So neurotypical, even in babies, scan faces a different way. We do not tend to spend as much time on the eyes, which I think was the bad rap no eye contact thing comes from. But we tend to focus on other cues like hair, glasses, at least initially while we're trying to learn that person's face. And so for me, like one year I had a Krista, a Crystal, a Kristen, and a Kirsten all in the same class, and
oh
they
no.
all looked similar. It took me the longest time. And now I think back on them, I know their faces really well. A couple of them I'm Facebook friends with, they graduated. And I was like, how could I not know that? But when you're initially learning someone's face, if you in your brain you haven't made sense of who they are from other cues yet, especially if you're not seeing them very often, you can have that experience where someone's like, oh hi, how are you, we had this whole conversation, and I'm like, oh okay, and I would think, what's wrong with me that I would kind of remember the conversation when they brought up details, but I didn't know it was them. And we don't like even if I close my eyes now and visualize my wife, if I had to describe the individual facial features specifically, I couldn't do it. To me, it's more like her. So I know she has like this little bump on her nose, and I know she has silver hair, and her face is about this shape. And when she wears glasses, I know she has a mole over one side. I don't remember what it is, but I can't distinguish those individual features, even though I've known her 20 plus years. Even if I can't visualize it, right? I can recognize her, obviously. If I stared at her right now in a picture, I could say, oh, there's that, there's that, there's that. I can try to memorize those features, but it tends to be especially when I'm learning like new students, new faces. Initially it's other things. So I have new class right now. There's one man in the class, so that's an easy one. Oh, he's the only guy. So as I'm taking
Hmm.
attendance, Kyle, only guy, right? And then I can have other folks that I'm starting to learn things about them. I have three neurodivergent students that sit in the front row, and we joke around all the time. Last week we were in week 5, and I still am mixing two of them up. Like, damn it. And then when I do get to know, like, okay, now I know who you are. Now I have to go the process of the name part, right? Because I'm just trying to distinguish you as a human from this other human, right?
Yeah.
And it really it's a neurological difference, right? And so now I explain it to students at the beginning of my classes with new students. I let them know what's going on. I let them know that if by the end of the quarter I'm still calling you the wrong name or trying to make a guess, like these two people, like, are you that one? And they'll say no. And I'll be like, oh my God, don't take it personally, right? It's completely how my brain works and how I scan faces. And it usually takes about a 10-week quarter for me to really get it in there. And if I have students that I haven't interacted with a lot, it might take longer, right? But now I can see students that I've had before for multiple classes, and I recognize them immediately. I know their name immediately. But for me, the learning of who they are takes a really long time. That goes beyond just I don't remember your name.
It's, like, very
Right.
manual. Like, I'm
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
say I'm like that with names. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
bad with names, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm close, like, it'll be like, "Oh, hey, Doug," and they're like, "I'm Dan." I'll be like, "Oh,
Right.
hey,
Yeah.
Jeff," and they'll be like, "I'm
I'm
John."
Jim. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. Like, I mean, it's classic, and so I always
Yeah,
say to
yeah,
people,
yeah.
like, "I apologize ahead of time.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really gonna" so I have to make notes, like, I actually have
yeah,
to,
yeah.
especially if it means something, like, let's say it's a new parent on Mia's hockey team or
Mhm.
something that I'm gonna be spending the whole season with, and that I'd
Yeah,
like to call them by name, I will
yeah.
have to make a note. I will have to do, like, a
Oh,
note,
yeah.
the name, who the kid is, what they look like,
So
this
you do
this
the association then. Yeah, yeah,
I'm doing a lot of, like, trying to get, a lot of information,
yeah,
but if I don't do that, and I don't have anything to connect you to,
yeah.
it's
The name doesn't
over.
come.
Oh, and then I get
Yeah.
all this anxiety too, like, when you meet a new person, like, you're meeting someone and the socially appropriate thing to do is to introduce that person to the people that you're with, and
Oh,
you're like,
yeah, you
"Oh,
find
hey, so and
introduce the
so."
person you know first and then hope that they say, "Oh, I'm Dan," or whoever. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, I get
yeah.
so much anxiety about that because
And then it
and then I'll
makes
be
it
like,
the retrieval even harder if you're
it
anxious
makes the
about it.
retrieval even
Yeah,
harder. And I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh my god." And I know it's the right thing to do, but I'm a
yeah,
mess with
yeah,
it. But,
yeah. Yeah.
it's
Do you
like,
at least recognize the faces though, or do you
mhm,
see
I
somebody?
do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I know
Gotcha.
them.
Yeah.
Like,
And for me
I'm
too,
like, I know,
yeah,
I
for
know
me,
you."
I don't remember it. And then it becomes about being context driven to a point. We have two neighbors across the street. I can visualize what they look like. I saw one of them posted himself on Facebook in a Halloween costume, but his whole face was showing, and I did not know it was him. And my wife was like, "That's so and so," and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't totally didn't know that." So for me, still getting to know them free recall, the context had shifted, and then I didn't know who it was. But people that I do learn, they're in there. Now there are versions of prosopagnosia that never gets to that point. Every time someone meets someone, they're starting from square one. Those are a little bit more rare. The type that I have is a little bit more common, especially in autistics. It's something like a 12 or 15% higher rate. I think you see it more in there. And it's not that I don't
Yeah.
care, it's that I'm taking all of that in. If they have like a distinguishing feature that's super distinguishing and I happen to know about it, it's sort of like with you with names. I have
Mhm.
one woman in my class who had a couple different names on there, and she's from Japan or China, excuse me. And I was like, I'm confused. And she says, "Oh, one of those is my English name,
Yeah.
and the other one is, well, wait a minute." And I know about that. I've heard about that from other students. I'm like, "Can I ask you, do you mind?" She's like, "No." I said, "Was this just given to you arbitrarily by someone?" "Yeah, it was a teacher." Like, I would rather learn your real name. Knowing that for me, names that aren't like Joe, John, or whatever names that I've heard before will take a little more work, but I want to know her real name. And for some reason, because of that conversation, her name is stuck in there. And now on site, I can see her and I know her name. But that's because I've had this whole context attached to it that helped
Yeah.
it get in there. It's not that every time I see her, I go through that in my mind. It's that it takes that extra way of looking at something to get it into memory. I have to attend to it more than just the visual cue.
In our
Yeah.
last episode, we were talking about automaticity. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the brain does we do rely on the brain to automate as much as possible so that it can
Hmm.
free up the ability, like, the resources for thinking and reasoning. That's what the brain
Right.
likes to do, right? The brain
Yeah.
doesn't like
Yeah.
to remember little details. It doesn't like it
Hmm.
really likes to think. Like, that's
Likes to
really, like,
connect.
it
Yeah.
yeah, it likes to make
Yeah.
meaning is what the brain likes to
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
But, in all of these things, it's like I think this really describes or gives us context for some
Yeah.
people because it's like, while they're really, really bright and clearly they're intelligent, but they don't even just take the time to know my name, or
Yeah.
they don't take the time to recognize me or whatever. They
Yeah.
just must not care. And
No.
it's like, you've no idea what's happening for people in their minds
Yeah.
and in their
Yeah. Yeah.
journeys,
Yeah.
to say that. But, a lot of times neurodivergent people are working very, very hard because there are
Hmm.
things that are not automated for them. So
Right.
they just got to, and
It's extra
it's
effort. Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
exhausting for things to be so manual.
At work when faculty, we have this thing at Antioch where we call people by their first names, which took me a while to get used to. Like our
Mm.
mailboxes are in alphabetical order by our first name.
Oh,
It's this
weird.
weird, yeah, it's so weird. Anyway, so someone will be saying, talking about Carol, Carol this, Carol that. And if we have more than one Carol, I'm always like, which Carol is this? And then, they always seem kind of annoyed and they'll say, I'm like, okay, thanks. Because now I'm in the blind right now. Now you're talking about someone that I don't have a really good yoke on yet anyway. And there's more than one of them. Can we please? Oh, it's the person in the first year. I'm like, this is no
I
help
have
to me.
no idea.
Tell me their last name, please. So it is, you run into these systems of people that are used to, and that's sort of a weird system, but people that are used to, like you said, why can't you remember this? You're not trying hard enough.
Right.
You're not
They just kind
attending
of,
enough. It's like, no,
yeah.
this is a neurological difference. It's like a
Yeah.
learning disorder, but learning faces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that doesn't mean also that if you have prosopagnosia that you can't interpret visual information. Like, I
Right.
think
Right.
that's another thing that happens. It's like, oh, you can't interpret faces, but why can you look at, like,
Right. Oh, no,
interpret this
no.
spatial situation? And it's like, no, 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 this is
Different part of the
different.
brain. Yep. It's
This is
different part of the
different,
brain. Yep.
right?
We
So,
have actually, I think it's something like four out of the 12 cranial nerves that we have are dedicated to things like facial recognition and recognizing changes in the face. It's so hardwired in us. It's our primary sense of sight to stay safe and survive. So other ways, if I have one that isn't going to get it in there automatically, I'll use the other three and have context or remembering interactions or what you're wearing or what your hair is like, or and then my students kind of are sweetly having fun with it now. Like I got a haircut or I have different glasses on now, and I'm like, damn it, I had written next to your name chunky glasses, and now you don't have them on. Right? I'm trying to learn your name. But that kind of you're appealing to those other parts that process that, and you just because you can't see it,
yeah,
other people can't see what your brain's trying to do. They think it's just you're not paying attention. It's so not true. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
Interestingly,
again,
though, I can
mhm,
recognize a dog I've seen,
mhm,
but there's all those other cues. I'm not picking up on their face. I'm like, what breed are they? What do they look like? There's the one poodle in the neighborhood that has 3 legs. I automatically know which one that is. There's one that looks just like it that has 4 legs. So I look for the leg. Is there a leg missing or not? And then I know which one it is, right? People don't have those obvious different cues. So it makes
yeah.
it a little bit harder. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah, I know this is one of these really funky. It just feels like a
Yeah.
little like funky thing that happens.
Yeah.
It's more common than not, I think a lot of
Yeah. It's
times.
really common in neurodivergent folks. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us
So,
your experience. What have you noticed in yourself? Did you already know this was a thing for you, or is it new? Or let us know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know what your experience is with this. Like, or if it's just not a problem for you and you're like, "Ah, I
Hmm.
got this," right? But
Yeah. Knowing that it's
yeah.
not necessarily the man who mistook his wife for a hat, which is a really famous
Yes.
book about that, where that really is that I can't tell who you are. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Who is that? Sachs?
I think
Is
so.
that Oliver
Yeah.
Sacks?
Yeah. Wrote about a
Oh,
client of his or
that's
something. Yeah.
where did I pulled that
Hey, that
from
was from the Wayback
Gee,
Machine.
wow, the way back. Someone I saw a quote from William James and I'm like, "Oh, father of psychology." And I was like, "Ugh."
Oh.
Like I
Oh.
glitched. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that g-" it's like studying for the EPPP again. What?
Yeah, it's in there.
What
It got
happened?
in there somewhere. Yeah,
Wow. It's taking up
that's too funny.
space from something else that I could have been remembering that's more valuable to me. Anyway, all right. All right, everyone. We will catch
Oh,
you in
too
the
funny.
next episode. Bye.
Bye.